It's time to get things moving with the creepy animatronics. Hello, Hacksters! Happy almost Halloween. I think a lot of us get into the spirit a little bit early. So, in the spirit of tomorrow, I have a crop of, not just one, but a whole bunch of Hackster projects around hacking and repurposing creepy animatronic devices. And this is going to serve us well into the holiday season, so I'm really excited. I went down this rabbit hole because I was looking for something or other, and I came across this Furby turned into... So first up, it's skeletonized, right? They've taken the covering off of it, but it turns out that they've re-engineered it to play voice snippets from Jorge Luis Borges, who's this sort of magical realist, kind of creepy, really fascinating author as well, which is just wonderful. This one was done, it doesn't use, oh, I've forgotten to change the title. 1 second. Creepy animatronics! Exclamation point. I got too excited about the project and forgot to do all the logistics here. Okay, so yeah, this project was done not by completely re-engineering the electronics. Basically, when you're hacking something with hardware, you have a choice, right? You can completely lobotomize it and replace the brain and everything. Or you can decide to like hijack it at some point during the control process. In this case, what they've done is hijack the signal, sending audio to the Furby's speakers, and instead they've like supplanted that audio with their own. So the mouth isn't always in sync with the audio that actually comes out, but it is an easy way to detect when it's going to move and put your own audio into there. This is a really fascinating project, and they've basically just used audio snippets from Jorge Luis Borges in interviews or whatever. And this is the perfect companion robot for a writer. I love it. It's from November last year. They narrowly missed the Halloween deadline already, but I'm sure that it was inspiring all through National Novel Writing Month, which is upon us in just a couple days here. They used an Arduino Nano and the SparkFun MP3 Player Shield, which I might have to look into. And also Autodesk Fusion 360. You can see a sort of ghostly Furby in the back here in this picture. It's just wonderful. And so, yeah, they kept features like going to sleep, microphone interaction, infrared, tilt, belly and hug sensors, etc. So instead of re-engineering all that, that's why they decided to just hijack the audio and substitute their own. They used Fusion 360 to help mount a new speaker on there and called it, or mount the entire thing on a new speaker, and called it Borgie for Borges Furby. Oh, it's fantastic. I love it. It's so good. I just want to sit with this one for a second. Okay. So, second, we have an article from Chloe Condon talking about how to hack Furbies in general. So if you want to do a project like the previous one, or if you have a few tweaks that you would do in your own version, this is where to look for a bunch of options. It uses Fluffd. It's a BLE interaction controller, which you can do from Mac, from Linux, from FreeBSD or whatever, or Windows, and it's based on Node.js. Very exciting. I just noticed that this was published before she started at Microsoft, and I ran into her at Noisebridge a couple months ago, and she seemed to be very much enjoying her time there. So, congrats, Chloe. And yeah, so she talks about how to make it sing, and how to make it sing New Rules by Dua Lipa. Very exciting. And there's a whole GitHub repo about how to do this. Magnificent. we've got a Mycroft AI Furboid. This is a great companion actually to another one that's kind of come later. So this one actually doesn't have anything published. I just really liked the idea of it because what we have, I'll just do this one next. Later on is Donald Bell saw this video online of someone turning a big mouth Billy Bass into an Alexa device and hypothesizing about how they did that. You know, did they just hijack the audio like with the Furby before, or did they like completely re-engineer it? And it turns out that you can just drive the motors based on the audio that's coming out, and so therefore have it move along to your own audio. And in this case, Donald has used an Arduino Uno and an Adafruit motor shield along with an Amazon Echo Dot. The thing that he's using here is also really pretty popular. The Adafruit motor shield. You can control either 2 steppers with this or up to 4 DC motors at 1.2 amps per motor. It's a really cool thing, and I'm actually going to start using it with some telepresence robots that will be connected to Remo.tv. Actually, I think that is mostly designed to work with the Raspberry Pi version of this, but it's a very popular shield for adding motor control to any number of projects. I also happen to have one for the Adafruit Feather down here. Ooh. One second. There we go. Yeah. Here's the Feather version of that. So, yeah. Same number of little connections there. You don't have the giant proto board. I'm assuming that's just there because it's got to be this big to go on the Arduino. And what else are you going to do with that empty space? So yeah, cool. 2 versions of that. So you're not limited to using an Arduino with your, don't remember what I was using this for, with your Big Mouth Billy Bass or other animatronic creepy project. Yeah, you can just hijack, as Donald did, the audio signal, put your own audio through, use that to control the motors with this motor driver shield from Adafruit. Whatever type of controller you're using, you can probably find one for the Pi, for Arduino, for Feather, and then you can follow Donald's tutorial. Prepare the fish! It's a really great tutorial. It's really in-depth. I love it. Load the code. Such good titles here. I love rhymes. Anyway, yeah. So that would be a way to do your own Mycroft AI Furboid, and I love the idea of using Mycroft with this because it's open source, it's completely privacy focused, you can control it from A to Z, you can, you get USB access to it, you can easily reprogram it yourself, and you know exactly where the data is going, so good stuff. And we also have a photon animator board. This is a generic PCB developed by Arthur to animate any number of different critters. So in this case, it's being used with a Jemmy Frogs, which I guess is the new Furby for kids. They apparently communicate. Actually, no, this is a different. I'm thinking of a different project, but yeah. So in this case, they've mounted a particle photon on it. They also use this audio board called the DF Player Mini. And this is another one that I've seen really highly recommended for doing animatronics and similar types of projects. And I'm probably going to end up using them in some of my projects. And if the audio quality is good enough, I would really like to use it to create like a backing vocals and instrumentals thing for my guitar. That'd be cool. But in the meantime, yeah, it's really versatile. You can use MP3s or waves. You can have up to 99 numbered folders for music or sounds. You can store up to 32 gigabytes of music on it. So it's really versatile and stuff. And I have one of these. It's so tiny. It's just barely bigger than the micro SD card that you put on it. In this case, Arthur is controlling it using Blink, B-L-Y-N-K, a really convenient mobile device based controller for all kinds of different stuff. So you can easily create a touchscreen control for your Arduino, etc. projects. It's pretty cool. So you can create your own little buttons, your own little sliders, radio buttons, arrow keys, and stuff like that. Really convenient. I've had some trouble getting it to work on iOS in the past, but I think it's been a couple of years since I last tried it, so it maybe has like matured enough that I'd be ready to give it another go. And you can read all about that and see a horrifying video. The audio is not going to come through because my mic is plugged in, but you can kind of see it going. It's got a motor for the arms and a motor that drives the head on a cam. And the arms have to be driven back and forth, which is why there's an H-bridge on the PCB. So yeah, he goes into all kinds of stuff about the inspiration for the project and why, what the design constraints were, why it was done this way. Next up, we have using Calliope to communicate with a Hatchimal by HHF, whoever that is. Yeah, this one is pretty fascinating. They go through the whole process of reverse engineering, decoding what these two animals, because you can have two of them talk to each other, like Furbies. And they apparently communicate over infrared. So each one of them has like an eye that's an infrared beacon, and presumably the other one is a sensor or something, or maybe they're both in the same eye. I don't know. It would make sense to have them be separate though. Anyway, so here is the analysis of the protocol. They go through all this interesting stuff about how, you know from the fact that the first one is like 8 milliseconds long, the second high point is like 4 milliseconds long, and then looking at the different infrared protocols, and they're assuming that it's the NEC protocol, as they give all their sources and stuff. It's real. I love this walkthrough of how they're decoding the information on here. It's so cool. Just my type of nerdery. Like code breaking, like figuring out what language these robots use to talk to each other. I love it. Okay. I had some caffeine. So yeah, they go through even into, it's saying hello. It seems to be saying I am cold. And now, I'm really curious to see how they arrived at that. Like, are you putting it through like different terrains and stuff and figuring out what they're saying to each other? Like, help me, I am cold. It's like, get back in the freezer, we need to test your protocols or something. I don't know. You could have fun with that. Anyway, if you have a Hatchimal, you should check this out and see if you can communicate it with it. You could probably create an infrared transmitter with like an Adafruit Circuit Playground Express or one of these guys, a Matrix Creator. I'm not going to pull that in front of the screen, it's too much of a pain. But all kinds of different boards have infrared transmitters and receivers on them, so you would be able to talk to your little Hatchimals. You could do some pretty creepy stuff with like making them go in the middle of the night, nobody knows why. Very good for Halloween. Oh, yes. So we've got those 6 projects for you. Borgie. The Borges Furby. This is so good. I can't get over it. It's so good. Furby Hacking 101, if you want to jump on this train yourself. Excellent article here. Mycroft AI Furboid by Nicholas Contreras. Unfortunately, only an idea so far. We've got the Big Mouth Billy Bass Alexa hack by Donald Bell. Our friend. Actually, I'm going to be making an appearance on Donald's podcast, video vodcast, Maker Project Lab, and you should check that out. I'm talking about a couple of my favorite tools, and you should subscribe. I should find the link for that. I'll put it in the description of this video. And then we have the Photon Animator board where you can control anything from a Jimmy Frogs like this guy. Apparently, it was not wantonly eviscerated. This thing was pushed or thrown by Arthur's 3-year-old grandson from the 2nd-story balcony. Therefore, its battery case and electronics were destroyed, and that's why the project was born. But you can control all kinds of different stuff with this, and since it's a particle photon, you could sub that out with an electron for cellular control, lots of remote activation creepiness possible there, or just do it over Wi-Fi. Furbies, you could do a Furby, you could do a Billy Bass, you could do all kinds of other stuff. Oh, you know what? And there's this reverse engineering thing. I gotta look up one more. There was an article by the Chip guys back when the Chip $99 computer was a thing. Here we go. Turns out Billy Bass is really popular. But yeah, another creepy animatronic. Look at the all kind of reddish eyes on this one. If you're not familiar, Teddy Ruxpin was this animatronic bear thingy that would read stories to your kids, and you can create one with the Chip $9 computer if you still happen to have one of those. So check it out. There's all this these diagrams and things, including handwritten labels. Look at this. Look at how well documented. So cool. How to connect it to the chip. What is this breakout anyway? Oh, it's a motor driver. Yeah. How to make the bear talk, and you're going to be controlling the motors and stuff. And then how to write the software. So I'll put this also in the description of this video. You can still find. Is their GitHub still up? Interesting. Nope. Oh, it's gone. That is sad. So that might actually not be possible anymore. But you can see up here sort of what the idea was. In case you're not familiar, Chip died a little bit of a sad, slow, protracted death, and the company does not exist anymore. Although the pocket chip that they created, which is a gorgeous piece of hardware, has been sold again on the internet by one of the distributors who got left with a bunch of their inventory. So if you got enchanted by the pocket chip and always wanted one, you might still have a chance. But besides that, Chip is pretty much dead. Sad, sad. Your GitHub's gone. So it goes. All right, and then finally I wanted to talk about, speaking of reverse engineering, I was trying to reverse engineer a little LED display that I got today. This is not relevant to animatronics at all, but it is relevant to pretty shiny blinky lights. So, turbo mode. This is a really cheap controller that I got in Shenzhen a couple of years ago, and it is called the B1248. And it's an 11 by 44 LED matrix that is can be charged over USB, and also some versions of this have Bluetooth. Mine does not, apparently, and I went through this whole process of trying to figure out, like, how am I going to control this thing. My Mac doesn't want to look at it. I can't find the information. I can't find the drivers online for Mac, and like it comes with this mini disc, and my computer has not had a disk drive for about 8 years now, so kind of, yeah. I even have a USB disk drive, but it's a slot-in one, and so you can't put mini discs in there. So you can follow that journey, but also there's a pretty cool project on here for controlling it directly from a Raspberry Pi that I think you should check out as well. Good stuff! Happy hacking with the Halloween animatronics. I'm going to check for any comments before we wrap up here, as usual. I can see your comments live on Facebook, but not on YouTube until after the video is published. Dan O'Brien says, love Big Mouth Billy Bass, but I think he forgot to put the V in there. Luca says, hi. Hey, what's up? I'm out.